Honestly, it's a pleasure to have you on this podcast where we'll talk about various topics on how a solution architect influences process automation in an enterprise. You are a solution architect in your current role, okay? Uh, Before we could kickstart with questions, could you appraise us with your background and the projects that you have worked in the current role?
Sure, Shripad. First of all, thank you for inviting me to the podcast. I'm really excited for this conversation. Um, Speaking about my background, like I have around 13 years of experience now into IT. I started as a developer, then gradually I moved into test automation. And 7 years back, is when my RPA journey started. So it was like uh, I went there for as an test architect, but I got into RPA. So that's how my RPA journey began. Speaking of the projects I have worked upon, I started my journey with HR domain. Then I gradually moved into banking, insurance, and now there are multiple domains which I have worked upon. So now currently, I work on manufacturing, media, and other multiple domains. So that's all about like government projects and the multiple domains I have worked upon.
Yeah, so I think I've got the right person to talk about with such a varied experience, and honestly, looking forward to hear more insights of your journey. Uh, Coming back to the entire uh, role that you're playing, and your experience that you have, okay? Uh, could you let us know what are the key responsibilities? Uh, for you in the enterprise that you're currently working on. Yeah.
So the term solution architect basically the name says it all. It is about solution design. The RPA solution architect also has other key responsibilities, uh, not only pertaining to solution design or architecture, but there are a lot of other things which he or she would look into. So coming to the primary responsibility, which is basically solutioning of the problem statement or the process which we would uh, uh, receive in this case. So the first primary responsibility of a solution architect would be working on the design, giving the best approach for automation, thinking about all the possibilities, all the integrations, and designing a solution which would be which would be the best for the automation or the approach for the automation. Coming to another responsibility, which would be again looking at the architecture, how we can integrate other solutions into our automation, which could help us to provide a more better approach, or more uh, on the perspective of architecture, or more scalable, or on the defines or on the terms of security, or on the terms of integration capabilities. We have to think also about the technical architecture. So that also comes as a responsibility, where you have to look out at the infrastructure requirements. You have to think about how is it going to scale in the future. How have you taken care of the security terms, or the compliance terms, and then all the integration capabilities. So while you automate a process, you always have to think about what all what all other as aspects can be integrated, such as APIs, which could drastically uh, reduce the processing time. Another aspect which I think in my day-to-day life, which I do, is stakeholder management and collaboration with them. So, which is very essential, where we communicate to them where we are and what is the approach we are taking, and how is the process going on, or how are we going to deliver it, and keeping them updated on the delivery timelines. This is one other aspect. One more, I think, which is an essential part, which was not initially present, but later on, as I moved into my RPA career, one aspect which should be included is governance. So, governance is a very important key aspect, where you have to follow coding, lay down coding standards. You have to think about change management processes, and again, coming to the compliance and regulatory requirements. So, that is also another aspect which we think about. So, these are all, I think, the key responsibilities in my day-to-day life for my current organization.
Quite a good insight is because I think you covered a lot of stuff, right from designing, understanding the requirements, stakeholder management, ensuring a compliance, and cyber pieces are also considered while designing the automation. So I think quite a good insight shared on the key responsibilities. And if anybody is watching this podcast, should ensure that such responsibilities are met into your day-to-day activities to ensure that you deliver efficiently on this particular role that you are in. Yes. So fantastic, Aditya. Now, in your experience, okay, could you help us detail a few factors which enables you to select a particular RPA platform for a project? Now, I'm putting this question to you with the thought that yes, there will be multiple platform strategies in an enterprise. So, in case if you have that particular experience, how would you pick a particular platform for a particular project? Is
Yeah.
because all platforms don't serve all the needs, right?
Yes, definitely. So, in my experience, when I got a chance uh, to select an tool, or to shortlist a tool basis upon, uh, there were many aspects which we considered. So it wasn't definitely a team effort, but there are many aspects which we consider while selecting a platform, because since in today's market, there are a lot of RPA tools which support most of the functionalities, but there are certainly key factors or aspects which we should consider while shortlisting any tool. So the primary aspect which I would consider while shortlisting any RPA tool is, uh, what are the functionalities they offer, right? What are the features they offer? How is it going to be beneficial? What are the functionalities and features which they are offering? How is it going to be beneficial for the processes, or for the automations which we are going to implement, right? Second, it should also, the aspect which we should consider is, like, how scalable is it? How many robots are it going to support? How is it on the performance aspect? Uh, so that is another aspect which I think we should also consider. Coming to a very important, I think it is, though it is not always considered, but it should be a developer friendly tool, where integrations to other tools, and how the way it is developed, because RPA is marketed as an LCNC, low code no code platform, where we basically go for drag and drop approach. But there are there are certain aspects where we need to integrate a lot of other things as well for the automation, to achieve that success end to end. So it should, I think it should also be developer friendly. Another key aspect, which I think, is the vendor support or the community aspect, where if you are stuck somewhere, how much solutions are there available on the community, because one person cannot solve everything, is what I feel. So the vendor support or the community support is also important on this aspect. Now, lastly, the very important aspect comes is the cost of ownership. Right? The cost of ownership is a very uh, important aspect where, while shortlisting, you need to compare the features and everything. Everything is there. But what if the cost is not in the budget of the customer, or the in-house approach which we are following? So this is also one aspect which we have to consider while shortlisting any tool. And lastly, we have to consider whether that they are providing some a trial period to evaluate the tool, where we could do some sort of POC, which would the tool would basically, or the platform would support within full functional trial, where we could use all of them and then evaluate which of the features are necessary for us, and which we should buy. So I think these are the key aspects which we should consider before shortlisting any platform.
Quite detailed, I would say, synopsis provided by you, is because when you look at LCNC, like you said, there are a lot of tools that are available in the market, and feasibility, the support that is available, and how would it really suit the requirements of the customer commercially also is a key aspect. So thank you for touching on that key aspect, is because you might suggest one of the best transforming tool, but if the budgetary alignments are not there,
Yes,
then you need to be ready with your plan B. So amazing.
exactly. Yeah.
That's how a technical guy with a functional background will also look at, and hence solution architect role is just not with technical stuff, but he should know the business also as an
Yeah,
important
definitely.
skill. So fantastic. On this experience now, I just want to further enhance this conversation. Uh, could you share an example where you have faced a challenging situation or a challenging RPA implementation? Uh, and I'm 100% sure you would have overcome it. So how did you overcome it?
This was back in days when we just started RPA, and it was like, you could. This was specifically with UiPath, though I have worked on multiple tools, and I have experience on multiple tools. This example I would like to highlight, which is specifically with UiPath. So at that time, you could also activate attended robot just by entering the license key, and orchestrator was not necessary, right? And we had a challenge that the customer had only attended licenses, and we had the bot. He had 8 bots, and we have to implement multi-bot architecture without an orchestrator. So basically, we had to mimic whatever the orchestrator does, like in the queue functionality, and that had to be deployed in multiple regions without the orchestrator. So this was something which I thought was, I should give an example on this podcast, and which I took as a challenge. So the queue functionality, we mimicked there for this project using the database. So we created We created a sort of an database architecture where we would have the bot names, and we created a table where the all the whenever the transactions would need to be distributed, it would be distributed on the basis of database. So it whenever for example, if we run a dispatcher, it would gather all the transactions. It would put it into the database, and all the performers which were sitting in different regions, they would start their bot, and it would be picked up from the database. So this was quite, first it was a four bot approach, and then it gradually, the bot count increased, and this was quite a scalable approach. And at times when the orchestrator was not available, uh, I thought this was an challenge for us. So yeah, that is how we overcame it.
So if I understand it correctly, uh, the
Yeah,
SQL database was like an orchestration for your attended
yeah,
robots. And
robots. Yeah, it was.
yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it was just an it mimicked the queue functionality. So it was not
Yep.
a full-fledged orchestrator, but it only mimicked the queue functionality.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's just the orchestration is because if you look at orchestrator, it's a
Yeah,
huge gamut of skills and roles and multiple things. But yes, having having a tweak of such nature to enable a customer to deliver process automation is I believe a key skill of a solution architect is because you are supposed to provide a solution and with whatever tools are available. Okay, if there
yeah,
was a sales guy, he would have quickly come up like, guys, you need to look at buying and orchestration sort of a thing, and this is the dollars that are involved. But yes, when it comes to solution architect, he would look at designing the solution such that the customer needs are fulfilled, ROI is also achieved. Yeah, and I'm
yeah,
100% sure if being it a SQL database, you would have security also implied, which enabled all
yeah,
bots to talk in a secured manner. Maybe sort of an encrypted connection would have really been
definitely. Yeah,
established over there, right?
yeah. There was like we developed an AES 226 custom approach for it, and because it was a bank, it was
Yeah.
very secured.
Yep, that's a cherry on the cake. If it's a banking organization, you need to go through various security standards, have a review with cyber when a
Yes.
solution is designed, and then implement it. So, totally understand the
Yeah,
hurdles that you have faced. Quite a fantastic solution. If any of the viewers want to understand from Aditya how he would have built that solution, please feel free to connect him on LinkedIn and understand the nitty-gritties. Quickly jumping on to the next one, Aditya. What are the challenges? Now, let us know how would you measure the success and impact of process automation in your organization or in any organization? What's your recommendation? Yeah.
yeah. So coming on to the major factor where every, like, most probably the business measures the success is on the ROI, right? Uh, where how much cost savings has been done, and this is the major aspect. But there's more to it, which I think the major part which defines is, I think, employee productivity and satisfaction. So how the employees uh, uh, if they said that's an first RP approach which the organization has taken. So what is their feedback, right? Regarding the RPA process which has been automated, or the implementation which has been done, because they ideally, it is for them. It is for, like, their workload should be reduced, and they can put it to somewhere else where it is more of an higher value task, or which they think is more knowledgeable for them. That I think is a major aspect which should be considered. Uh, Even though the ROI would be the first, but this should also be considered. Another is like what the again coming to the stakeholder feedback, like how is the like it directly uh, it's related to the employee satisfaction as well, but the stakeholders being for whom we are automating the process or project. So it is very essential to take the feedback, and if they say that this project is success, so you can measure that, you can say that the implementation was fruitful, and it's an success. Apart from these, there are multiple aspects which can be considered if you want to measure the success of your RP implementation. Number like the aspects which can be considered is like the usual aspects which we consider while automating any RPA process, and to see whether it runs correctly is like how accurate is it. How many numbers of failures are there in compared to what was it earlier? How much savings is there in not only in terms of cost now coming to time as well, because that's an very crucial aspect which we consider, whether if somebody was doing that process in 10 minutes, how fast or how accurate the bot is doing, and how fast the bot is doing within less stipulated time. So that is also another aspect which should be considered while measuring the success. And lastly, as I said, it should be more compliant. We should also think from the compliance perspective, and it should not be that we are violating something, or we so that compliance perspective aspect should also be considered. So this all aspects can be considered while if you have implemented an RP project, and if you want to term is that a success. So these are the key aspects which we need to tick mark and see whether this meets the criteria. Yeah.
What is the impact if the executive sponsorship is missing for an RPA implementation? Quite an off question, but if you have any
Mhm.
views, I would really appreciate it.
Mhm. So if the sponsorship is missing, then we need to there are a lot of factors which we need to consider, because there are certain times where uh, this tool is very it's not in our budget, or we don't have we are not approving any budget for specific tools. You then we can there are a lot of other things which we should take into consideration, where we can opt for open source tools which could like there are a lot of open source tools nowadays which supports RP, and there is no a lot of sponsorship required on this tools aspect. So that can also be considered while if that's the case.
So you're saying if the executive sponsorship with regards to commercial is not available, you should look at open source.
Yeah, because
Actually,
you need to, if there is a need to automate, or to give a solution, but still there's no sponsorship available. So as an solution architect, I need to provide some solution to it, which can cater to the needs of what is being asked for.
perfect. So quite an out of box thinking for you, huh?
Yeah.
Cool. So jumping on one last question, okay? You see a lot of evolving technologies coming in process automation. Okay. Every day there is a new technology that comes in with regards to understanding of documents, with regards to clipboard AI, with regards to artificial intelligence in the tool itself, recommending what should be the next code or what should be the next activity that you should pick up. When you have such an evolving technology, or how would a solution architect uh, institutionalize such changes, or what is his key role in this evolving technology to embed those in his own enterprise? How would you look into it, Aditya? Yeah.
Yeah, so the RPA was like when I started, RPA was just some process automation which we were doing, and uh, it was like mimicking the steps with whatever there which were given to us. But now it's not that case. A lot of things are being it's evolving at such a fast pace that a lot of things uh, are essential. Like that there are things which we need to take into consideration for an integration uh, to go with that evolving stage where RPA is going through. So most, like you must have heard that everybody is talking about intelligent automation, and we have to think that from that perspective. So as a solution architect, my approach there would be uh, going from that aspect where I have to also think about out of the box from RPA. I have to think about like other technologies, like implementing, like looking out at process mining, looking out at PPM, which could help in not process redesigning from the first phase, where you could basically uh, lessen up the steps, or correct the steps, and beforehand, where before we go to the uh, go for the path of an RPA. That also helps in optimization of the process, and then in the end we get an efficient automation approach, and the end result would be more efficient, which I think. And then again, the coming back to the evolution, so we should be more focused on how to, as I said, integrating these technologies, and helping with human collaboration. So there are more to human in the loop automations as well. And there are a lot of things which are integrated now, uh, where you could start the bot from an application. You could start from like that. There could be a robot on demand. There are a lot of things which could be considered, and as a solution architect, we will have to think about all these aspects, and all these technologies while we think of RPS and whole.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. A solution architect is surely responsible for ensuring integration with the evolving technologies like chatbots, cognitive automations, various
Yeah,
IDPs that are coming into play. And for sure, his expertise is clearly required in ensuring secured automation solutions which are sustainable and keep delivering digital transformations so that
yeah.
organizations keep achieving their
So that
goals and objectives
yeah,
also.
so the digital transformation journey, which would say, if you're starting for an organization, it should not be only taken into consideration as in into RPA. As you said, it is chatbots. It is nowadays it is all about, like, more about LLMs, ChatGPT. So a lot of things should be integrated, and that to see how those can be helpful while designing the solutions. And now is the, like, the era of generative AI is also coming up. So how that can also help us uh, in delivering an more efficient and sustainable solution, that we should think of.
Yes, absolutely right. Gen AI is the next pedestal that we should be on. And I'm 100% sure you would be using ChatGPT to ensure your automations are effectively built. Maybe you could have some expert reviews of the codes that are getting deployed. So, yes, Gen AI is the next evolution. I think, Aditya, it was a real pleasure talking to you. You shared quite valuable insights as well as your experience. I totally appreciate you giving a time on a Sunday, and looking forward to connect with you on various other topics. Thank you so much, Aditya.
Sure. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you. The pleasure is on my. Thank you.
Cheers.